David Cronenberg's Scanners, 1981, is a chilling, mind-bending sci-fi horror film that explores the intersection of science, human consciousness, and power. It's one of Cronenberg's most iconic works, setting the tone for his exploration of body horror and psychological themes that would define much of his career. In this review, we'll break down the plot, the characters, the unique themes, and how Cronenberg's style sets Scanners apart from other films. Plot. The plot of Scanners revolves around a group of people known as scanners, individuals who possess powerful telepathic abilities that allow them to read minds, and in some cases, control others. The story follows Cameron Vale, played by Stephen Lack, a troubled and confused scanner who has been living in isolation, unaware of his own powers. Vale is recruited by a medical scientist, Dr. Paul Ruth, Patrick McGoohan, who seeks to help him and others like him harness their abilities for good. The main antagonist, Daryl Revoke, played by Michael Ironside, is a rogue scanner who uses his powers for violence and control. Revoke is attempting to create a new world order dominated by scanners. The film follows Vale as he tries to stop Revoke and his dangerous plan, leading to one of the most iconic and brutal final showdowns in horror movie history. Characters. The central character, Cameron Vale, is a deeply sympathetic protagonist who struggles with his identity and the powerful abilities he can't control. Stephen Lack's portrayal is subdued and introspective, which fits the alienated nature of the character. Vale's character arc is driven by his search for meaning in a world where he can hear others' thoughts but can't connect with them. Daryl Revoke, the villain of the film, is an unforgettable presence, brought to life by Michael Ironside's magnetic and intense performance. Revoke is chilling not only because of his telepathic abilities, but also because of his ruthless pursuit of power. His sinister motives give the film a sense of urgency and danger that never lets up. Other supporting characters, like Dr. Paul Ruth, are crucial to the film's development, providing guidance for Vale while exploring the ethical dilemmas surrounding the use of such dangerous abilities. The performances in Scanners are solid, with a special mention going to Patrick McGoohan, who provides a sense of authority and mystery in his role as the well-intentioned but enigmatic scientist. Themes. Scanners delves deeply into themes of power, control, and the human psyche. At its core, the film explores the dangerous consequences of unchecked power, both physical and mental. Cronenberg raises questions about the ethics of using such powers for good versus evil, asking whether those who possess extraordinary abilities can ever truly control them, or if they're destined to be corrupted by them. Another major theme is identity. Vale's struggle with his own self-awareness and his fear of becoming like Revoke is central to the film. Cronenberg emphasizes the idea that the mind and body are fragile, malleable, and can be manipulated in ways we cannot fully understand. Cronenberg also touches on societal fears about the unchecked advancement of technology and science. The scanners can be seen as a metaphor for the abuse of scientific discoveries and the potential for individuals, or even governments, to use those advancements for manipulation and control. The film's horror elements, especially the mental breakdowns and exploding heads, mirror these anxieties, making Scanners more than just a supernatural thriller. Cronenberg's style. As with many of his films, Cronenberg infuses Scanners with his trademark approach to body horror. Unlike the more traditional horror movies of the time, Cronenberg's films are deeply psychological, often exploring the fragility of the human body and mind. In Scanners, the telepathic powers are not just a supernatural element, but a reflection of the terrifying potential of the human brain. The horrific imagery, such as the infamous exploding head scene, is an extension of his interest in the body's vulnerability and its capacity for transformation, both mental and physical. Cronenberg's pacing in Scanners is deliberate, giving the film a slow burn intensity that builds the tension gradually. His choice of muted colors, stark lighting, and eerie sound design amplifies the film's unnerving atmosphere. The sense of isolation and paranoia that pervades the movie is very much in line with Cronenberg's other works, where characters are often alienated, struggling with their own bodies and minds. Similar films, Scanners, shares similarities with other Cronenberg films, particularly Videodrome, 1983, which also explores themes of control, technology, and the mind's power. Like Scanners, Videodrome addresses the idea of psychological manipulation and the perils of living in a world where technology can shape and distort reality. Another similar film is The Fury, 1978, by Brian De Palma, which also explores telepathic abilities and the violent consequences of such powers. The Fury shares a similar premise of powerful individuals using their abilities for manipulation, though it doesn't have the same deeply disturbing body horror Cronenberg is known for. Scanners can also be compared to films like Akira, 1988, the anime film that similarly explores the psychic powers of individuals and the societal impact of those powers. Though Akira leans more into the action and sci-fi genre, the themes of mind control and the dangers of psychic abilities overlap with Scanners. Conclusion? David Cronenberg's Scanners is a landmark film in the sci-fi horror genre, blending disturbing body horror with thought-provoking psychological themes. The movie is unsettling yet fascinating, making viewers question the nature of power, identity, and the mind. Cronenberg's unique approach to filmmaking, his exploration of the human psyche, and his focus on body horror set Scanners apart from typical 80s horror films. With standout performances from Michael Ironside and Stephen Lack, Scanners is a must-see for fans of Cronenberg's work and anyone interested in the intersection of sci-fi, horror, and psychological drama. David Cronenberg's Crash, 1996, movie review. Plot overview. Crash, 1996, directed by David Cronenberg, is a dark, provocative film adapted from J.G. Ballard's novel. The film follows James Ballard, played by James Spader, a film producer in Toronto who, after surviving a car accident, becomes entangled in a subculture where people derive sexual pleasure from car crashes. After the crash, James meets Dr. Helen Remington, Holly Hunter, a woman whose own experience with a crash mirrors his, and the two begin an intense and complex relationship. Along with Helen, James gets involved with Vaughn, Elias Koteas, a man who leads a group of individuals obsessed with the idea of combining human bodies with machines, using the aftermath of accidents to fuel their strange desires. The movie challenges traditional views of sexuality, human connection, and technology. The plot itself may seem bizarre or even unsettling, but it delves into deeper themes of addiction, obsession, and the search for meaning in a technology-driven world. The characters. Ballard. The protagonist, a detached and emotionally distant man whose life changes after his accident. As he explores this underground world, he becomes more enmeshed in a dangerous and complex relationship with both the people involved and his own desires. Brother Ballard. Catherine Unger, James's wife, who also becomes involved in the subculture. While James embraces the taboo, Catherine's own journey reflects her evolving desires and the ways in which their marriage begins to shift as they both discover new forms of connection. The film's enigmatic antagonist, Vaughn, is a man consumed by the idea of merging human flesh with machines. His obsession with crashes and the lives they disrupt borders on the extreme, and his influence over others, including James, highlights the film's darker explorations of human nature. Dr. Helen Remington. A woman whose own experience with a car accident leads her to meet James. She becomes a catalyst for James's deeper involvement in the subculture, ultimately complicating his emotional and physical relationships. Themes: obsession and desire. Crash explores the theme of obsession in extreme forms. It asks the question, how far can we push our desires before they become dangerous? Through its characters, the film suggests that when people are consumed by their urges, they can lose their sense of self and ultimately their humanity. Technology and the human body. One of the central ideas in Crash is the blending of human bodies with technology. Vaughn's obsession with using car crashes as a form of sexual experience points to a disconnection from the body's natural state. The film suggests that technology, instead of liberating or enhancing, can desensitize and distort human relationships. Sexual taboo and transgression. The film dives into taboo territory, particularly with its focus on autoeroticism and trauma-induced arousal. Crash challenges the viewer's comfort levels by making sexuality in these contexts not just the central element, but something that grows, distorts, and evolves as the character's experiences deepen. Alienation and connection. At the heart of the film is the theme of alienation. The characters are often distant and disconnected from their true emotions. However, their involvement in this world of strange pleasures leads them to find a perverse sense of connection that defies conventional understanding. Controversy. Crash was a film that stirred much controversy upon its release. Its explicit and taboo-breaking content, including the sexual nature of its themes, led to it being banned in some countries and heavily criticized by audiences. Many people found the subject matter disturbing and difficult to stomach. It even led to protests, particularly from conservative groups who felt the film was glorifying dangerous behavior. Despite the controversy, Crash was met with critical acclaim for its bold approach to film and its exploration of themes that no other movie at the time dared to touch. Cronenberg's ability to take a taboo subject and approach it with such clinical precision set Crash apart from other films and secured its place as a cult classic. David Cronenberg is no stranger to controversy, and Crash fits perfectly into his body of work, which often revolves around themes of body horror and the relationship between humans and technology. Cronenberg's films such as Videodrome, 1983, and The Fly, 1986, also explored the body's transformation and the consequences of man's relationship with machines or other unnatural forces. While Crash doesn't have the overt horror of those films, it shares a thematic thread with Cronenberg's exploration of the darker, that more perverse sides of human nature. Crash stands as a more intellectual exercise in exploring human desires, whereas his earlier works like Scanners, 1981, and Dead Ringers, 1988, delve deeper into physical transformation and grotesque body horror. James Spader's career. James Spader's career, like his role in Crash, has often ventured into more unconventional and intense territory. Known for his distinct voice and smooth, yet sometimes sinister, screen presence, Spader was an ideal choice to portray James Ballard. Spader is particularly noted for his roles in films such as Sex, Lies, and Videotape, 1989, and Secretary, 2002, where his characters explore complex psychological and sexual relationships. Crash is one of the most daring roles of his career. Spader, with his ability to play emotionally detached and morally ambiguous characters, brings a nuanced performance to the film, showcasing the conflict within a man torn between his desires and his relationships. Over the years, Spader's career has continued to evolve, with his more recent roles in TV shows like The Blacklist, 2013 present, continuing to demonstrate his ability to portray complex and deeply flawed characters. Similar films. While Crash is unique in its combination of body horror, sexuality, and technology, there are a few films that come to mind with similar themes. Videodrome, 1983. Directed by Cronenberg, this film also explores the relationship between technology and human desires. In Videodrome, the protagonist becomes obsessed with a violent, mind-altering television program, reflecting Cronenberg's ongoing theme of how media and technology warp the human mind. The Skin I Live In, 2011. This film by Pedro Almodovar explores themes of transformation and obsession in a much more psychological way. While it doesn't involve the explicit car crash sexual fetishism of Crash, it also deals with the body as a site of trauma and redefinition. The Piano Teacher, 2001. Directed by Michael Haneke, this film examines the darker side of human sexuality, focusing on repression, desire, and taboo-breaking behavior. Like Crash, it confronts uncomfortable and controversial topics with unflinching honesty. Final thoughts. David Cronenberg's Crash is not a film for everyone. It's daring, disturbing, and unapologetically explores the extremes of human desire. While controversial, the film's intellectual approach and its haunting exploration of the human psyche make it a unique and memorable entry in Cronenberg's career. James Spader's performance anchors the film, making the character of James Ballard deeply sympathetic despite his troubling actions. While Crash might make some uncomfortable with its unflinching gaze at human sexuality and technology, it's a film that stays with you long after it ends, forcing you to grapple with its complex and often disturbing themes. For anyone interested in pushing the boundaries of cinematic storytelling, Crash is a must-watch, albeit with an open mind and a strong stomach. Let's dive into Videodrome. David Cronenberg's Videodrome, 1983, is a psychological horror film that explores the terrifying intersection of technology, media, and the human body. In typical Cronenberg fashion, the film delves into body horror, raising questions about the relationship between media consumption and personal identity. The story follows Max Wren, played by James Woods, a sleazy TV station president who stumbles upon a mysterious cable channel broadcasting extreme, violent content under the name Videodrome. At first intrigued by its shock value, Max becomes obsessed, eventually becoming a pawn in a far-reaching conspiracy that involves mind manipulation through television waves. One of the standout elements of the film is its exploration of the relationship between the media and its audience. Max's descent into madness is closely tied to his consumption of violent media. As the Videodrome signal begins to affect his body, he experiences physical transformations. His skin begins to form strange, open wounds, and even his own body becomes a part of the media, showing how the boundaries between the real world and virtual experiences begin to blur. Cronenberg does an exceptional job of using special effects, particularly body horror, to convey the psychological and physical changes Max undergoes. One of the most iconic moments in the film is when Max's stomach forms a fleshy, vaginal-like opening, where he can insert a gun to carry out violence. This disturbing transformation symbolizes how deeply the media's influence can penetrate a person's mind and body. It's a terrifying visual metaphor for the idea of media consumption becoming an addiction, warping one's perception of reality. James Woods' performance as Max is compelling. He brings a sense of vulnerability and obsession to the role, which works well in this paranoid, surreal environment. Debbie Harry of Blondie fame plays Nikki Brand, an enigmatic character who becomes intertwined with Max's descent into Videodrome's influence. Her performance as a seductress is captivating, offering both allure and an undercurrent of dread. Themes in Videodrome are rich and multifaceted. At its core, the film is about the dangers of media addiction, the loss of control, and the erosion of boundaries between the mind, body, and technology. Cronenberg also touches on ideas related to corporate control and the way media is used to manipulate and mold the masses. In this way, the film seems almost prescient of the era of reality TV, social media, and the overwhelming presence of digital content in our lives today. Comparing it to Cronenberg's earlier work like The Fly, 1986, Videodrome feels more abstract in its approach, with less emphasis on traditional horror elements and more on psychological terror. It's a more cerebral, unsettling experience. The Fly is a personal tragedy, a story of transformation driven by uncontrollable physical change, while Videodrome offers a more social commentary on the ways technology manipulates the mind and society. In terms of its body horror elements, Videodrome is less about mutation and more about the way technology corrupts the body and mind. The grotesque, surreal images are not just shocking for shock's sake, but serve to reinforce the disturbing themes the film presents about media's impact on human beings. Videodrome remains a cult classic for its bold exploration of these themes. The film's eerie, almost dystopian vibe and its jarring visuals have earned it a lasting place in horror history. Cronenberg's ability to blend psychological horror with body horror and offer a prophetic critique of media consumption has made the film a landmark piece in the genre. To conclude, Videodrome is an unsettling, thought-provoking exploration of technology's dark side, presenting a world where the line between reality and media is dangerously thin. If you're a fan of body horror and psychological thrillers, it's a must-watch for its bold vision and disturbing yet deeply relevant commentary. It's a haunting film that leaves you questioning the impact of the media we consume and the cost of letting it consume us.